Good morning. My name is Emily Gillies, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with some representatives from Webequie First Nation. They're going to be answering some questions regarding the Ring of Fire. Answering our first question of the day is the Chief Financial Officer, Carolyn Matheson. My question for you, Carolyn, what exactly is the Ring of Fire, and why are all these negotiations happening?
Firstly, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. This question is so important, obviously, to get a full but short understanding. The Ring of Fire is a region in northern Ontario with high deposits of minerals, including nickel and chromite, which are highly valuable in the clean energy and EV production sectors. This sounds like it has a great business potential. However, for communities like us here in Webequie, this presents a whole other sector of problems. The issue is that this region and project per se overlaps with so many Indigenous communities, including ours, and although there is potential to make earnings from the mines, production poses significant risk, especially in ecological damages. Not to mention, historically, projects like this have gone on without community consent, causing devastation. These negotiations are vital for our sovereignty and are so complex but significant for our future. There obviously needs to be an agreement, but we cannot be ignored. Thank you.
Thank you so much for explaining that to us. Joining me next is Webequie's Environmental Officer, Sarah Coombs. Hi, Sarah. Could you tell me some of the specific concerns that your community has raised about the environmental impacts of mining so close to the First Nation lands?
To answer your question, Webequie has huge environmental concerns regarding the Ring of Fire mining project, primarily because of its proximity to our community and our reliance on natural resources. First, we really worry about water contamination, as acid mine drainage, leaching, and pollution could harm nearby rivers that our community depends on for drinking, fishing, and cultural activities. We haven't had a boil water advisory since 2021, and we would love to keep it that way. Noise from mining could also disrupt local wildlife, which directly affects our hunting, a traditional and essential practice for Webequie. Another concern for us is habitat destruction. The loss of surrounding ecosystems would impact not only local animal populations, but also the plants and resources that we use for medicine, food, and cultural traditions. Altogether, we're pressing for strict environmental safeguards to protect these essential aspects of the land and our way of life for future generations.
Thank you so much for voicing those concerns. Coming back to you, Carolyn, can you tell me, are there any similar cases they are looking to for guidance?
I really like this question because we do have a lot to learn from the past in situations similar. One we can look at is Voisey's Bay Nickel Mine, which was in Labrador, and that can help us guide us through these difficult negotiations. It's a pretty similar situation, but the consultations and negotiations that took place positively led to impact and benefit agreements, or IBAs, which are, although maybe a westernized legal view, but it's a formal contract between Indigenous communities and industrial developers. It basically outlined the obligations of each party in really important areas that we also need agreement on: employment, training while sharing, and obviously environmental stewardship. We can also look to projects like Churchill Falls, which took place in the 1960s, and it was an environmental disaster. It was a hydroelectric development that was formed without the full consent consultation and ended up flooding, causing mass devastation on Innu lands, including burial sites, which is just such an incredible shame, to say the least. We want to avoid all that and look more towards Voisey's Bay moving forward, and hope to be a positive learning tool for communities in the future who are in similar situations.
I really appreciate that explanation. And my next question for you, Carolyn, is what are some potential benefits that Webequie could see if the project moves forward?
Yeah, so thank you so much for this question. Firstly, the sort of advantages that these benefits have are obviously heavily reliant and dependent on how the project negotiations go, and ultimately how development goes, if all of our needs are met. However, since we are the closest to the Ring of Fire, I believe this project has the potential to benefit us greatly, specifically with economic opportunities in areas like job creation and mining, but also infrastructure development. We really need jobs, and although some may be short-term contracts, it still provides for our community. Similarly, local businesses have some potential for growth and expansion. That all-season road is really important. It would bring us access to a lot of things, such as, potentials for lower cost of goods and services, helping our community with isolation, and, a plethora of other difficulties that come with fly-in only communities. Some other benefits are programs linked to areas of development, whether that be the road, the mines themselves, or even consultation moving forward. Could also benefit us and provide long-term opportunities. And of course, revenue sharing and earnings from the mines are the biggest, and looks super promising to aid us as a community moving forward as the project unfolds. And hopefully through the process, we're able to find ways to maximize those opportunities. This could lead into joint venture opportunities with other First Nations, and depending on the outcome of negotiations and development, it's super promising. We so badly need significant change in a multitude of areas, and having financial freedom is the benefit we hope to see out of this project.
I really appreciate you sharing those, Carolyn. The last member we have on the panel here today is Chloe Appleton, the Research and Development Officer of Webequie. What are some possible health and social concerns for the First Nation as the Ring of Fire talk continues?
Community members of Webequie First Nation live in unsafe homes. They are filled with mold, bug infestations. They have unsafe wiring. On July 1st, 2023, a family of 6 lost their home due to a fire. Fortunately, they were all okay. The fire did jump to the surrounding houses in the community, and those houses also sustained damage. Mold is a very serious issue. Mold can cause itchy throats, shortness of breath, headaches, fatigue. There's a long list of how mold can affect someone's daily life. Mold can also just make a person miserable. The community members also suffer from mental health issues. They do not have access to a mental health professional and have to leave the community in order to seek professional help. In 2018, a 17-year-old boy left the community seeking help and unfortunately passed away in Thunder Bay. He was found in a park. The community also doesn't receive medical supplies that they need. A man's wife died because they did not have enough oxygen in the oxygen tank for her. That man fulfilled his promise to his wife and walked over 1,000 kilometers on icy roads, carrying oxygen to the nursing station so that other people could have the supplies that they needed.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking about this hard subject, Chloe. And now I'm going to come back to you, Sarah. What are some possible demands for Webequie moving forward in these negotiations?
Okay, so Webequie's approach to the Ring of Fire project includes a few core demands. First, we are pushing for strong environmental protections. Webequie wants thorough assessments that use Indigenous knowledge so that we can fully understand any risks. This would also include the restoration of the mining area environment post-mining. Second, revenue sharing and infrastructure. Webequie wants a fair share of the project's profits to fund local needs like clean water systems, social supports, school and housing improvements, and even a fire station. We already have a lot of issues with fires, so mining is just going to increase that. Third, we're asking for employment and training opportunities with a focus on hiring Webequie members first, so the community directly benefits from job growth. Lastly, we want ongoing monitoring with Indigenous oversight to ensure environmental and social impacts are managed responsibly and transparently. When managed inappropriately, we also want to ensure that there are proper consequences to those who disrespect our wishes. These demands are all about ensuring that if development happens, it happens in a way that truly benefits Webequie and respects our values so that our future generations can thrive on this land.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with us. Finally, we're going to close out here. So my final question goes to Carolyn, and that is, what is the ideal outcome for Webequie in these negotiations?
Yeah, so to answer your question in summary, our ideal outcome in these negotiations would be to bring us stability in our priorities, our cultural, economic, social, and environmental ones. We are really looking for a tangible solution in these negotiations that would yield those long-term benefits. An ideal outcome would be almost a symbiotic relationship, where our rights and community are respected and protected, and where we're all able to benefit from it. And although this could be promising, an ideal outcome is our demands being met. Again, few key demands we're looking for are guaranteed job creation, consistent long-term income for the community, improved infrastructure, including that fire station, job training, and environmental and cultural security and preservation. The ideal is that throughout the negotiations, our demand for free, prior, and informed consent be followed, and the community be fully involved and never left in the dark. In short, the ideal would be a respectable partnership where our needs are met, and we have safeguards in place for all of those things, and we're able to safely agree and move forward thinking about our future generations. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for summarizing this up for us today, Carolyn. And on that note, that's all the time that we have for today, folks. And I would like to give a really big shout out to the lovely representatives from Webequie First Nation who took the time out of their lives to join me today. And to all of our listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. And that's all until next time.